Story 1. I want children because, although they are expensive, require a lot of work, and are life-changing, it is rewarding to raise a life and put him or her out into the world. To me, it feels like a biological obligation. Story 2. I don't. This may sound selfish, but I never saw the appeal of having children. Honestly, I just enjoy the peace and quiet too much. Plus, all I hear from my friends and family is how stressful it is to have children, along with small comments about never having time to themselves. Story 3. I do not. I have many mental health struggles, so I think it would be irresponsible to potentially pass them on. Maybe it is just the depression clouding my view of the world. But things seem bad and are getting worse. The world today is not a place I want to bring anyone into. Story 4. I don't really enjoy being around them too much. Sometimes I hear stories from my family about having to manage their child in difficult situations, helping with homework, deciding on punishments, attending doctor's appointments, and dealing with anxieties. I just think about how I never want to go through that again. I don't wish to be a child again, like many of my peers, nor do I want to be a parent in charge. I don't want any of that. Story 5. I have severe mental health issues, autism, and anxiety. I cannot afford ramen noodles, so the answer is no. Story 6. No. Both of my siblings have children, and it is clear that life would not suit me. Story 7. Well, here I have 2 children. One was unexpected, and one I was coerced to keep by my abusive ex-husband. I never wanted to be a mother, and to this day I hate it with all my veins. That being said, I love my children deeply. I went into therapy because I did not want to repeat what my parents put me through. I am still learning, but I never wanted to have children because I am selfish and I love my independence. I do not like anyone to be dependent on me, including partners. I can love and care for people and I can die and ride for them, but when I need me time, I have to have it because I lose my composure. So there is that. It has not changed even though I have children. Now, I have been diligently trying to secure their future. I am already on my way to buying 2 houses, one for each of them, and both their college savings accounts are growing every month. I give them my attention, support, and the love they need, but I still hate being a mother. Story 8. Look, I have already told you I am not taking your children. You had them, you keep them. Story 9. Yes, all my life, my only long-term goal that I have kept since childhood is having children. I almost gave that up for a really bad person who I should not have been with, but thankfully we are no longer together. The new person I am seeing seems to be all right with the fact that I very clearly want children in the future, but we have not talked about it properly yet. That is now 100% a deal breaker for me. I realized how foolish I was to disregard the only dream I have kept all my life for someone I was dating for less than a year, and I will never do that again. Story 10. Absolutely not. I would rather spend my money on traveling. Plus, I enjoy sleeping in and not having to raise another human being. That is very annoying. Story 11. No, they are a terrible investment. Plus, I enjoy being able to do what I want when I want in life. I will never ruin my life by having children. I say this as a woman. Story 12. No, in fact, the only girl who ever liked me left me because I was so adamant about not having children. I just do not want them. Life is suffering. Story 13. Only adopting orphans or stepchildren if possible. Not interested in having biological children. Story 14. With the right person, we can definitely provide financial support. Story 15. Looking back, I think I would have loved to have children. At this point, I am approaching 49 and it would be very difficult to do so. It would require the right partner, and even then, she would have to be very convincing. Story 16. No. I do not want that responsibility for the rest of my life. I also want to spend my money on myself and do what I want when I want. Story 17. Yes. Because I like children. Existentially, there is probably an aspect of having an opportunity to undo my upbringing by creating a healthy one. Also, the fear of who will care for me when I am old. Basically, I would have to pay to live in a nursing home well before I need it, and the increased cognitive decline that comes from those places. As you age, sometimes you need family to do small things to help from time to time. The last one is a bit strange, but you build wealth over time to retire. Who is there to pass it on to if I overbudget what I will need? The government, or worse, certain family members who might spend all their money. We all have at least one like that, right? Story 18. No, ignoring my mental health issues, I don't see the point in anything that comes with having children. It sounds boring to wake up every day, get them ready for school, feed them, clothe them, pamper them, and talk to them. I would rather have money for myself and my own time to do whatever I want. I don't want to watch them grow up or change the first diaper. I am also aromantic and asexual, so I am not interested in sex or a relationship either. Story 19. I go back and forth about this all the time. I do because I am so curious what my little mini-me would be like. But I also fear I do not have the patience for one. Story 20. I do not. I simply have no interest in fatherhood, and I do not think a child should have to deal with a parent who does not want them. Story 21. For the longest time, I never wanted children. Or at least I thought I never wanted children. I was the oldest of 9, and I raised my younger siblings. I had a single mother who had to work long hours to financially support us. I would joke that she was the father and I was the stay-at-home mother. I know that's some heavy stuff for a child. I am in therapy. I love my mother. It's all good. I loved my siblings more than anything in the world and had a maternal protection over them. When I got older, I moved out, met a man, got married, and spent 5 years in adulthood with no responsibilities besides bills, but the two of us are quite money savvy, so it wasn't a huge strain on us. I decided I actually did want to be a mother after all. I have 3 children now, and I cannot imagine what my life would be like at this point without them. I have never been good at anything in my life until I became a mother. I truly believe I am a very good mother. My children are happy, healthy, clean, spoiled in a good way, not a bratty way, and are being raised by a mother and a father who love them and who love each other. I actually want 1 or 2 more children. I understand parenthood is not for everyone, but if you are on the fence, just do it. You will be so glad you did. Story 22. No. They are obnoxious, gross, and expensive. You only have one life, and I am not interested in living it for anybody but myself. Story 23. Now? No. Someday? Absolutely. Why? My instinctual drive for fatherhood. Story 24. Absolutely will have children. Looking forward to it in the future. Story 25. No. There are already too many people with a history of heritable disorders. Mostly, I do not want them. Story 26. Not yet. I am only in my 20s, and I already have my own responsibilities to manage. Story 27. No, I like my freedom. It is the same with dating. I like being alone. Story 28. I wanted children. I wanted 2. It did not matter to me if it was boy and girl, girl and girl, or boy and boy. I had 2 boys, and now I do not want to have any more children. I have a consultation appointment next month for a vasectomy. If I meet my forever woman and she already has children, I am willing to take on the responsibilities of parenting them as well, but I am done having any more. Story 29. I do not want children. I am a 35-year-old male, married for 12 years, and had a vasectomy last year to prevent having children. Why? There are many reasons. My wife has severe anxiety, we have environmental and financial concerns, and finally, I simply cannot stand the idea of taking care of a child. Story 30. Every time I think I do, I just spend time with my nephews. Problem solved. Story 31. I have autism, moderate attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, a specific learning disability, and a language processing disorder. I don't want my child to have to go through what I did. Story 32. Yes, but only when I am stable enough to give them a good life. Story 33. Sometimes I feel sad because I want to, but I am too scared and it costs too much money. I do not exactly feel safe and cozy myself. So why would I want to add more chaos into my life and bring someone else into this nightmare world? Story 34. I think having children would fill me with the purpose I have been looking for despite the stress. It is a shame the economy and dating pool are in unfavorable positions to have them. Story 35. Imagine working a 9 to 5 job, then coming home to a screaming toddler. I will pass. Story 36. I have 3 children under the age of 3. I have always wanted kids close in age and many of them. Story 37. Never, because I do not want them to be more traumatized than me, and I am also scared of pregnancy. Story 38. I am not convinced that I even want a wife, so probably not. I just do not think that is how my life will turn out. Having children is objectively the best route for 98% of people. More and more people from my generation excuse themselves from it to pursue a lifestyle of hedonistic pleasure-seeking, disguised as some kind of elitist environment that is really just a deflection from how grotesque their self-centeredness will inevitably cause them to become. Story 39. I did not want children before, but in April, I found out I was pregnant for the first time. I went to the doctor, heard the heartbeat, and instantly fell in love with my baby. I am now engaged and waiting for the arrival of my son. It is always possible to change your mind. Story 40. Turns out 2 is my number. Good news, I have 2. While it felt hard, somehow they were the easiest things I have ever done. Just lay back. Being very pregnant is hard. Birth is difficult. And toddlers challenge every fiber of your being. 2 is perfect. My heart is completely filled with love I never knew was missing. Story 41. I wish I could have them when I become an adult, but I do not know if mental stability and emotional intelligence will find me by then. Story 42. I may be autistic, have a genetic likelihood of severe preeclampsia, or type 2 diabetes. These conditions are not for me. Story 43. I am undecided between having only 1 child or none. If I have children, I do not want more than 1, that is for sure. Story 44. The best advice my mother gave me was, do not have children, and I did not listen to her. She was right. Do not have children. It is a trap. Story 45. I'm going to adopt when I'm ready for children. There are too many children in need of love, so why bring new ones into this world? Story 46. I really do want children, but I cannot bring myself to have a child because it feels selfish, especially when I do not know the direction the world is going. If I decide not to have any of my own children, I am a strong advocate for adoption. There are many children who need families. I would prefer to adopt and do everything I can to help children in foster homes. Many children need someone who truly cares about them, and I would love to be a person who can help teach and provide a stable life for them. It feels difficult to create life if you cannot advocate for children who do not have a choice in existing without parental figures. It is uncommon to find a loving home in foster care. All these children need someone who genuinely cares for them. Story 47. No. First of all, there is no way I am affording it. Second, my genetics are poor, and I do not want to give birth to someone and force them into a lifetime of pain and suffering without their consent. Third, it is a long story, but there is a witch's curse, and basically the only way to break it is to end the bloodline. Story 48. I'm on the fence. Yes, I'd love to have children. I've always wanted a big family. I want the noise and the constant activity of that life, of watching them grow into their own and hopefully do good and be good people. I have dreams of a family. No, because things are a mess. Do I really want to bring someone into this? To make them contend with the greed and selfishness of previous generations solely because I want a child? Also, on another note, I worry that I'll lose myself to motherhood. I have fought so hard to try and make my goals a reality, and I haven't yet. So do I wait until I've reached the peak of my career? Or will I miss my window? So, I'm on the fence, and while I remain on this fence, it's probably best for everyone that I don't have children. Story 49. I didn't know if I did, but I met someone amazing and we just had a child. We are in a situation where we can make it work financially, and one of us can be present to help with childcare. Accepting that this was something we wanted to do was frightening for a day or so, but it was followed by an optimistic sense of calmness like, we got this. Story 50. Are you fit to raise children in a world where no one else will once you create them is the better question. Story 51. Not really. I have always been ambivalent about having children. I never really cared about leaving a legacy, but one of the strongest arguments in favor of having children was the desire not to be alone when I am old. including having someone to take care of me if I am unable to do so. During the last few years, I have had a lot of experience caring for my family members. One thing that really shocked me is how quickly people my age, around 35 plus or minus 10 years, suggested nursing facilities so I could get rid of my mom and grandmother and live my life instead. This way of thinking was very prevalent. More than a dozen people, directly or indirectly, expressed this suggestion, with only my best friend not doing so. My level of care for my mom and grandmother is so rare that most people are really surprised by it. Considering how common this suggestion to get rid of them is, I realize that hoping that your children will make sacrifices and take care of you in your old age is unrealistic in this individualistic society, where wishes and desires are more important than someone else's needs and duties. In addition, I realized how rarely people my age visit their parents, with visits happening out of duty and necessity rather than a genuine wish to visit and create shared memories. It is clear that having companionship with your children in your old age is also unlikely to happen. So it became clear to me that the work-to-reward ratio of having children is too low for me to consider, especially taking into account the increased standards for raising children. They cannot be left alone after school, require separate bedrooms, holidays, and so on. I never really liked children and never imagined being a father. This realization that children most likely will not care for me when I am old, and might just put me in a nursing home, made my decision easier. So yes, unless I find someone truly amazing, probably no children for me. Story 52. I wish. I have wanted children since I was 23. At 36 and single, I do not think it will happen for me. I do not want to be an old father like my father was, where I cannot keep up. Story 53. No. I have the worst health and genetics out of all the children my parents had who survived birth. My mother had a stillbirth. My mental health is very poor. Having a baby will only make it worse, not better. Pregnancy and childbirth always carry risks of death or disability for both mother and baby, even if everything goes smoothly. The world is literally falling apart in every way. The electricity at my parents' house has been knocked out 3 or 4 times already this year due to severe weather. My parents' yard was destroyed by a tornado, and the house took minor damage from it. I am from Michigan, and the weather has been very unusual this year. This summer is the rainiest summer I can remember. Normally, summers are dry. Then there are all the problems caused by angry or unhinged people. I cannot hold a job for more than a few months, and the jobs I do get do not pay enough and do not provide good hours. Everything is expensive. Cancer and neurodivergence, including Asperger's syndrome and attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder, run in my father's side of the family, while my mother's side has dementia. Both sides have hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetes. I have trauma from how my youngest brother treated me when he was a toddler and I was a tween or teenager. The cute baby phase ends once a child learns to hit, kick, bite, break things, get into things, throw things, talk back, intentionally upset you, and scream when corrected for bad behavior or when told to do something or having something taken away. I do not like toddlers, especially if I have to be around them all the time and deal with their annoying behavior. I will lose my temper. Having a baby will not change that, and it is not acceptable to tell me I should have a baby to gain a different perspective or learn to love them. That is not a good reason to have a baby. It is not anyone's right to tell me to relive my trauma or to tell me what to do with my life. Children are destructive, loud, annoying, demanding, bratty, and messy. Teenagers are mouthy, do not listen, and think they know everything. I hate changing diapers because I have obsessive-compulsive disorder related to germs. Toddlers seem to catch every disease they come into contact with. I would be a terrible mother. I am not having children, and that is final. Story 54. Quite literally my main goal in life. I think many parents do not realize that they create their child outside of the womb. How they are raised shapes their person. I am very confident I could nurture an amazing person. In fact, I am excited by the idea of raising someone to be strong in all the ways I was not. However, I also know I have to be very cautious when choosing who to create a life with, as that will impact my child for life. Story 55. I'm torn on this. Generally, yes, but I don't like the idea of not having time for myself anymore. I really don't do well when I can't have my space. Story 56. We have two of our own and are buying a bigger house to foster and adopt more, guiding them to success and watching them grow into confident, healthy little people is the most satisfying experience I have ever had. I enjoy working with teenagers as well. My nieces and nephews, as well as the kids I volunteer with, present a different type of challenge. It is less about raising and more about guiding and providing a safety net. I'm glad we waited 6 years to have children. By then, we really knew one another and learned to work together. This also helped us become stable enough for my wife to leave her job and focus on our little ones. Story 57. I don't because of mental health. I guess I don't really enjoy existing, so justifying bringing another existence into being is difficult. I'm not good at taking care of myself either, so being responsible for a child's well-being is not a good idea. If my outlook on life improves in the future, I will probably be too old to have children, so I am at peace with it not being in the cards for me. With that said, I sincerely hope the parents reading this thread are happy and healthy. Story 58. I am too selfish to have children. My time, career, and money are very important to me, so I would not want to make that kind of life commitment. I do not even enjoy being in the same room as children most of the time. I find many of them annoying and disrespectful. This is mainly a parenting issue, but today's society has made disciplinary action toward children nearly illegal. Ultimately, I do not believe I would have the love required to justify having a child. Too many people like this do have children, and it is sad to see them not receive the proper love, attention, and guidance needed to have a successful life. Story 59. I'm undecided. Logically, I shouldn't have children, and I am quite selfish, but I still want them. I will see how the future turns out. Story 60. I am a dad and wish that I could have more. It is genuinely a deeply fun experience. Sure, it can be exhausting, especially the first couple of years, but it is also very fulfilling. One thing I find really awesome is being able to do everything for the first time again. That is pretty cool. The little hands growing larger, the snuggles, the heartaches. All of it is amazing to be a part of and witness. Do I sometimes miss some of the things I did as a young 20-something? Maybe a little. But I am older now. I don't really like hanging out in pool halls until 3 a.m. anymore. Did then, not so much now. I like building a model rocket, turning the lathe, working on math and vocabulary, setting up the tent out back, and looking at the stars. I like the snuggles, the questions, the teaching, the learning, and the unbridled joy of life that kids can have. My son and I still do things on the spur of the moment. Just grab shoes and go. Done it since he was a baby. We want to do something, and so we do. I do more spur-of-the-moment adventures now than when I was in my 20s. But more than all of that, love is inherently outward-facing. Real love, the experience of love, is not selfish. Loving another person, giving of yourself without tally or second thought, opens up a whole new world. I believe that we are meant to love, and to be whole, complete persons we should do that. Kids are not the only way, but they do demand a whole lot of love and patience. We get to be more than we started, we get to become more human. I miss waking up in the middle of the night to a crying baby who just needs to be snuggled. It is weird, I know, but in the end he was just a little person in an unfamiliar place. Helping him feel safe, to become acclimated and secure in his little corner of life. That is a pretty awesome thing to get to do. To be a trusted confidant, to be his secret keeper without judgment or shame, to be whatever he needs in the moment. That is pretty sweet. I wish more people would see that parenthood doesn't mean the end of fun, youth, or whatever. It is the opening of a whole new world of hope, possibilities, experiences, joys, sorrows, victories, and defeats. We get to do it together to be better for them so that the world is a better place. They are also crazy expensive. Stay married, folks. Not just for financial reasons. The ruin, pain, sorrow, and torment of divorce is a travesty. Figure your situation out, folks. Figure it out and have a fun time too. Story 61. I have many reasons for not having children. The most recent one I discovered was when I wanted to watch the Squid Game on Netflix. But my nephew was home. You lose the freedom to even watch television. Story 62. I do, but I also have a severe fear of physical pain, and I am scared my autism would make it too difficult, especially during the first 5 years. This makes me really sad. Story 63. No, I do not like children. I would be a terrible person to them. Also, what I have found out in the last 2 to 3 years about my health and family history, it would be very irresponsible to bring a child into the world who would most likely inherit those diseases, especially combined with issues on my significant other's part. Story 64. No, I never wanted children for various reasons. I am glad I never did. Story 65. Absolutely not. Have you seen the state of the world? It is hard enough keeping myself safe, sane, and somewhat financially stable. Story 66. I helped raise my siblings, so probably not. I am in my 40s now and they are all teenagers. I do sometimes miss having little children around, though. They are so much easier to protect and do not worry me as much as teenagers do. Story 67. Not now, but someday, yes, I would love to have 1 or 2 children. Will I ever have children? Well, we will see. Story 68. No, I do not like them, and I have never wanted to. Story 69. No, we have missed that window. My wife and I are both in our 40s, and I have no desire to be 60 years old dealing with a teenager. Story 70. Not in this economy. I also do not want to go through the physiological changes. Pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum literally sound like a terrible experience to me. In short, I just do not want to. Story 71. Yes and no. Yes, I can name them. No, because I do not want to take care of them. Story 72. Yes. I did not want to until I turned 22 and realized that I selfishly want children so that I can give them unconditional love. I even had an open myomectomy to remove my fibroids and increase my chances for it. It is also a relationship deal breaker. Story 73. I have known I wanted children since I was a teenager. I have 1 child, and I love being a father. Recently, I started feeling the desire to have another child. Story 74. No, there are too many health problems I would hand off to them, and I could not provide a solid quality of life. Story 75. No, I have never wanted any children. I have never had even a single moment when I wanted to have children. It would be a deal breaker in any relationship if she wanted children. Story 76. Too late for me. I have grandchildren. I was a young man who did not want children. I wanted to retire young, go to the Florida Keys someday, bask in the sun, and watch the hurricane drama blow by. I met my wife and goodbye coast life, hello Kentucky. Oh well, I can see the Ohio River from my home. Story 77. No. I used to, but I have come to the conclusion that I am not mentally or emotionally equipped for that. Also, children are loud and I like peace and quiet. The worst part of my workday is having to listen to a child who is screaming, crying, or upset. I met my cousin's 2 boys, ages 5 and 6, a few months ago, and being near them for 3 to 4 days was exhausting. Not to mention, the world is going in a bad direction. There is no sense in bringing a child into that. Story 78. Theoretically, yes. Realistically, no. I would like to raise a child, but I will not have a partner, and I do not think I would be able to provide enough financially and emotionally. I would also have to put my whole life aside for my child. If I had been able to enjoy my youth, I might be able to do that, but since I did not, I would probably feel trapped. If I ever get to a point where I think I have truly lived, I would probably be in my 60s, and I am sure I would not be raising a child at that age. So no, I do not think I have the emotional and economic resources for it. Besides, I would not be a good mother anyway, so I do not think it is that big of a loss. Story 79. Yes. The idea of raising a version of myself and actually doing it right feels great. Will I have the money and time to do so? I hope so. Probably not, at least not the way I would like to. Story 80. No, never. When I was growing up, it seemed like everyone who had children was miserable and broke. So, I decided I would rather have freedom than children. I had a vasectomy at 24, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Story 81. I want to raise someone I can love and reasonably spoil. I would raise them differently from how my parents raised me. Story 82. I always wanted kids, but now that I actually have one, I want them badly and am desperate for more. I want a whole flock. I want an army. I love children, worked in education before, and am one of those people who think that children are infinitely more fun and interesting than adults. I am a stay-at-home mother now and love being with my toddler and watching her grow and become smarter, funnier, and more herself every day. Seeing her develop problem-solving skills, good manners, physical strength, and confidence, as well as watching her language constantly evolve, is unbelievably rewarding and amazing. There is nothing like it. Honestly, I love how exhausting it is and how every day really feels like work. I feel useful, productive, and important in a way that I never did before. I respect people who do not want children completely, but I am so glad I did it. Give me more. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.